I'd like to call to order the New York City Transit Committee. Let's get started with our safety announcements, please.
Your safety is of the foremost importance to the MTA. Therefore, we ask that you listen and adhere to the following instructions. If you witness an emergency, notify emergency personnel in the room and call 911 immediately. Please follow any audible instructions provided through the public address system or visually on screens in the event of an emergency. If an alarm sounds, wait for a public address announcement and follow instructions. If told to go to another floor or to evacuate the building, leave all unessential items behind and use stairwell A just across the main hallway or stairwell B down the hallway past the elevators. If you have a mobility disability or cannot self-evacuate, please proceed to stairwell D or E for assistance by MTA staff or emergency personnel. An automated external defibrillator, AED, for use by trained personnel is in the main hallway just past the elevators. If you need assistance during an evacuation, please tell an MTA staff member or emergency personnel. Thank you and have a safe day.
Thank you. Let's move on to our public speakers, please.
Good morning. We have 19 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all, we will limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you when you have 30 seconds left to conclude your remarks. Today, our first speaker will be John Padula, followed by David Kupferberg.
That was a quick walk. Hold on. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Padula from New York City Public Schools. I'm also a member of the Advisory Committee for Transit Accessibility. So, whether we like it or not, congestion pricing is here. Your money grab was successful. I just hope you keep your promises. Accessible transit is many layers, and paratransit is one of those layers. And unfortunately, capital funding won't directly benefit paratransit, but hopefully, indirectly, we'll see some benefits. And to support gainful employment in our city, paratransit has to be better. There's no way that 30 minutes being considered on time is equitable. The 20-minute window really needs to be a long-term goal that's actually pursued. Phase 3 is working on demand. We need to move forward with on demand. We need to get that out to more people. There needs to be a third bucket for those of us that have demonstrated need for more trips because we're using the traditional service. It'll save you money in the long run. Intra-borough taxi authorizations, we've been talking about that for a while. Borough lines are just an artificial barrier. I don't care if you cap the trips at $60 or $70 or whatever, but just let us have a taxi authorization so we can move around the city from borough to borough with reasonable autonomy and flexibility. And the My AAR app, I love that app, but you guys need more resources behind that app. There's only 1 or 2 programmers, it seems. There's an accessibility issue that is being worked on, but when something is broken in terms of accessibility, again, it shouldn't be. There should be more resources put into that app. It saves you guys money, and I don't love spending 20 minutes on the phone booking my reservations. My name is John Padula. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker will be David Kupferberg, followed by Omar Vera.
For the Queens Bus Network redesign, the MTA refuses to acknowledge independent analyses presented during the public hearing in July 2024 that demonstrate that bus stop balancing would neither significantly reduce bus speed nor travel times in Queens. Bus stop balancing was done in the Bronx. Bus speed increased by only 2.9%. According to the staff summary, the MTA will invest $33.7 million for this project. Let's do the math. $33.7 million divided by $19.4 billion operating budget. This means that only 174 hundredths of 1% is being invested. If the MTA invested 1% or 194 million, most service gaps in Queens would be closed and service would be expanded to many transit deserts throughout the borough of Queens. One example is the Rockaways. Currently, in order to travel between the Long Island Jewish Medical Center in eastern Queens and Far Rockaway, people have to take 3 buses and travel via Jamaica. The Q79 would resolve this issue. Another example is the Throgs Neck Bridge. In order to travel between southeastern Bronx and northeastern Queens, one must currently travel via Flushing. A third example is College Point. This neighborhood has no direct service into Manhattan. The QM10 and QM40 are based at the College Point depot. These routes should be extended. Since congestion pricing was implemented in the QM12 and QM42 south of Forest Hills, and the entire QM3 may have higher ridership. If so, then the MTA has no right to eliminate the services. To the MTA, don't shove the Queens Bus Network redesign proposed final plan addendum down our throats. These are nothing but glorified service cuts. The project must be delayed until it is done right. Go back to the drawing board.
Our next speaker will be Omar Vera, followed by Evan Yanley.
Happy New Year, MTA's New York City Transit and Bus Committee. Welcome to the January edition of your board meeting, or committee. First of all, let me just say congratulations for finally having congestion pricing on board. Now, if only we can eventually extend it to downtown Brooklyn, as that's the 3rd largest central business district in the city after Midtown Manhattan and Lower Manhattan. But we can always push for that when the time flows. Second, I also noticed that you have you're finally having the Rockaway reconstruction and resiliency project. But here's what you can do. Once it's done, you can do what Andrew here proposed and have all A service runs to the Rockaways when service is restored and have the C extended to Lefferts Boulevard and finally making the Rockaway Park shuttle run late nights only. Like, this is the Rockaway rehabilitation project gives an excellent opportunity for that service plan to change. But I also want to note something else, though. When I looked at the Queens Bus redesign map, like originally before it was revised, the Q50 would be extended to LaGuardia Airport, replacing the current Q48 bus. But now that you basically made the Q50 just as it currently is at Flushing, terminating at Flushing Main Street, instead having the Q90 run to LGA, I'm like, that defeats the whole purpose of having direct bus service between the Bronx and LGA. Considering planes literally fly over the Bronx when descending towards LaGuardia, it's a little shameful to for this revision to basically not have Q50 bus service the airport anymore. Like, please revise this again and have either the Q50 extend to LaGuardia Airport or the have the BX41 extended to the airport. And last but not least, please have more express bus services to JFK. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Evan Yanley, followed by Michael Ring.
Good morning. My name is Evan Yankee, and I am the Advocacy Director for Brooklyn Center for Independence of the Disabled. We're here today, and you'll hear from some other people that we work with about ongoing quality of service issues with accessoride paratransit service. At past meetings, we've asked you, as John Padula did today, to expand the Accessoride On-Demand program. And part of the reason is because traditional Accessoride remains a frustrating, inefficient, and in some cases dangerous way for New Yorkers with disabilities to travel, get to work and medical appointments, and be part of their own communities in this city. Our office, and I'm sure yours, continues to receive complaints about an inability of drivers to communicate with passengers in English, failures of dispatch to send the correct accessible vehicle to passengers as documented on their accounts, failures of drivers to call and assist low vision and other riders, and major problems with securement of passengers. People with disabilities in this city deserve to be able to live their lives and contribute to the city without these significant barriers that waste time and money for everyone. We urge you to make a significant effort to address quality of service complaints with Accessoride and to do so in a transparent way so that passengers understand that their complaints are leading to change. We also continue to urge you to expand the on-demand program so more people with disabilities can get around the city on a reasonable schedule. Additionally, while we know that your meeting on the capital plan is later today, we would like to use a few seconds of our time to join with you to urge the governor and the legislature to fully fund the MTA capital plan. Leaving this plan unfunded puts riders with disabilities and without at risk. And finally, I'd like us all to take a deep breath through our noses and see, can we smell any trouble brewing? The room smells fine to me, but I must say that my home subway station at Rockaway Avenue is currently filled with a mysterious chemical scent from a scent dispenser box that the MTA has installed in the station. We are incensed at the disregard of people with disabilities with scent and chemical sensitivities that will be impacted by this subway scent program. What sort of sense does it make to attempt to cover up subway odor with artificial chemicals instead of attempting to address the odors at their sources?
Please conclude your remarks.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Michael Ring. Then we'll be moving over to Zoom for Ian Matthews.
Hi, my name is Michael Ring. If anyone who needs a verbal description of my appearance, I'm a 60-year-old white guy, 61 now. I need a shave, I'm wearing a hoodie, and I'm wearing a hat because I ran a race yesterday and they gave me a hat. I'm the chair of the Accessible Transit Advisory Committee, and today I'm representing Achilles International, an organization that helps people with disabilities compete in mostly running races against people that aren't disabled. And I'd like to talk about the on-demand program and what kind of impact it has made. As a member of the ACTA committee, I found out that the on-demand program has been offered to thousands of people, and many of them, almost half of them, are barely using it. It is not for everybody. But for the people that use it, it is life-changing. The ability to travel spontaneously in an accessible way is a way that it works. And I'd like to tell a story of one of my teammates. He's an IT specialist. He's visually impaired. He's going to be at the Paralympics. He's been working remotely and had moved to Washington recently. He's moving back to New York City because he's in the on-demand program. That's what the definition of life-changing means. He's going to become a taxpayer again in the city of New York because he's in the on-demand program. He can come and go whenever he wants, like everyone else. So please consider opening up this program to many more people, if not every Access-a-Ride user, because most of them don't want to pay, many people don't want to pay $4, many people don't want to upload their credit cards, it doesn't work for them. But for the people it works for, they're becoming taxpayers. So that's a big deal, the way they can contribute back to society. And so thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is Ian Matthews, followed by Carl Pereira.
All right, good morning. My name is Ian Matthews, and I'm here to speak about my concerns on the subway, which I really haven't been feeling safe on as much. Every morning, I use the Bedford Park train station on the B and D lines. The entrance at Grand Concourse and 203rd, there's drug dealers and homeless holding open the emergency gate, and they're letting riders in for free, and it's not fair to me and others who always pay their fare. And it's like this at other stations on the line where there's no customer service agent booth. Another thing I'm also going to mention, I'm noticing there's going to be weekends where C&E trains are going express on 8th Avenue. Isn't it possible to reroute one of those trains on 6th Avenue? Because having 3 trains share the same track causes congestion, and the F line has horrible headways on weekends, which I know can't be increased because of work. It's very dangerously overcrowded, and I would consider maybe having one of these trains run on 6th Avenue. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Carl Pereira, followed by Elizabeth Abraham.
Good morning. My name is Carl Pereira, and I'm Director of Transportation of the Our Neighbors Civic Association of Ozone Park. I'm here today to express our opposition to the approval of the Queens Bus Network redesign final plan addendum because the plan eliminates Q11 bus service from the Centerville area of Ozone Park. One of the reasons given by the MTA is that the Centerville area of Ozone Park is served by the A subway line. However, one of the closest subway stations in the Centerville area is the Aqueduct Racetrack Station. However, this subway station has only a Manhattan northbound platform and no southbound platform. There is also another nearby subway station located further south called the Aqueduct North Conduit Avenue Station. However, this subway station is not ADA handicapped accessible and has only a southbound, Rockaway-bound entrance at its northern end. So, as you can see, the neighborhood still needs the Q11 local bus service. Another reason for our opposition is that the new Q51 route needs to serve the Resorts World Casino in Ozone Park and also the Gateway Center Mall in Brooklyn. Based upon this, we're suggesting that the MTA board vote no on the Queens Bus Network final redesign plan in its current form. Thank you and have a nice day.
Our next speaker will be Elizabeth Abraham, followed by Jean Ryan.
Okay, good morning. This is not a complaint, it's an observation. And I have a love and affection to Accessory. I love you guys. But I want to share something that I feel needs to be improved. And it has to do to the point that there's a connection of the TLC in terms of the roles that they do, where it does not make a requirement of the drivers to speak English. And also the city council is involved with that. So I want to move forward to them, but I want to give an introduction to you, something that needs to be addressed. First of all, it's annoying to me when I use the client, is Accessory, and when I want to be able to tell the word, the corner, la esquina. So the drivers don't understand in different language. Some of them come from Russia, Korea, different languages they come. So I speak to them, I speak 2 languages. So I say, the corner, please. They don't understand. So I say, okay, la esquina, la esquina. Then they would understand. If I have words such as left and right, in Spanish would be al frente o atrás. If I tell them in Spanish, around, alrededor. So all these languages are used in a particular job. So if you use the job of Accessory and you provide with clients which also speak different languages, something needs to be done regarding of that has not been addressed as well. And also, my proposal is that be a basic languages where, as I mentioned, that could be done. And it says, Accessory, the brokers, providers, laminated, and the laminated in the driver, when he's driving, he has a piece of paper. So it stays on the left side. Oh, al frente. Oh, that's the front in their language. If they say atrás, oh, and back, then they have a comprehension that we're here in, we're America, we're in New York, and one of the things that we're doing in terms of that. Now, there's other alternatives. Something could be doing in the computer. Some
Please conclude
clients,
your remarks.
Thank you. Some clients that may have a computer, they could use the language and translate.
Please conclude your remarks.
The issue is translation.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Jean Ryan, followed by Howard Birnbaum.
Hi, I'm Jean Ryan, President of Disabled in Action of Metropolitan New York, DIA for short. I listen to people, and people I don't even know are telling me that they're upset about out-of-service elevators in the subway system. Most people telling me this are ambulatory. They walk, but they have an invisible disability. They don't know about the ability to try to see in advance if the elevators are working or not. And not all have or are able to use a smartphone. They just want to get someplace and not have to labor up or down the stairs and be exhausted and in danger of falling or accidentally pushed by others who are rushing. You say the elevators are working just fine. Do you have the elevators that are out of service for replacement on the out of service list? If the elevators are working just fine, according to you, why not settle the elevator maintenance case and sign on the dotted line? A settlement would be a commitment to maintain decent service for everyone for the decades ahead, no matter who's in charge at the MTA. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Howard Birnbaum, followed by Jack Nierenberg.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here today to support the Queens Bus Design finally plan. It's finally here. And also, I heard that there's going to be 2 parts. Instead of doing it in June or September, do it in April and June, because in the summertime, there's no school for the kids. So I was wondering if we could push it back to April and June instead of from June to September. And also, to let you know that I support the whole Queens Bus Design. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Jack Nierenberg, followed by Monique Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jack Nierenberg. I'm the Vice President of Passengers United, and I'm very disappointed with this agency today. I need you to understand something very clear. This Queens Bus Network Redesign Initiative, this plan, that will eliminate nearly 1,800 bus stops, will create barriers to access for senior citizens, people with disabilities, and other people who can't walk farther to get to the bus stops. And before anyone says anything, I read the final plan addendum, I read the equity evaluation. I'm glad to see that the equity evaluation was put up there and enough is in there to ensure compliance with Title VI. However, it falls short because nowhere in the equity evaluation are the needs of people with disabilities listed, nor are they listed in the staff summary. And I did a preliminary study on the effect that bus stop eliminations have on people with mobility issues using a case study from the Bronx Plan, and I found that from that study, people with mobility issues were disproportionately affected, with some having their commute times, their first mile and last mile distances doubled, meaning that any kind of increase in the bus speeds, which in the Bronx was around 3%, they didn't experience that. So as a result, it just created barriers to access. They were disproportionately harmed, and it's a clear violation of the ADA. We will not accept this. We will fight until this is resolved. We need the bus stop eliminations reconsidered so that people with disabilities are not disproportionately affected. They need to be factored in, and they should have been factored in from the very beginning. So we will not stop until this is resolved completely. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Monique Johnson, followed by Andy Pollock.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Monique Johnson. I'm here because I don't understand what the MTA is doing. Every time I come here to a board meeting, I go home and I look on the news, you'll say crime is down, but crime is not down because every time we look on the news, somebody get hurt. Instead of y'all putting the police officers where they need to be, y'all putting these helpers, allied workers who ain't gonna do nothing but run with us. They're not gonna stand there and help us. And people like us with disabilities and don't have accessible elevators, how are we assured that we're gonna make it out safe when all of this is occurring? And then I want to talk about the accessory. This is what we endure when we go and use accessory. They're on their phone watching YouTube videos. Y'all keep asking me to uplift them. I try to uplift the videos to y'all so y'all can see how they're doing it, but I can't. And anybody that's willing to work with me, I have videos from last year and I have videos of this year of how they're watching YouTube. Suppose a person in a wheelchair or vision impaired, how are they gonna know that they're watching YouTube while they're being drive around? How they gonna know until the accident happened, they won't know. But this is unacceptable of putting our lives at risk while they watch YouTube with us in the back of their car like we're nobody. And I don't understand. And the buses downtown on Fulton Street, from anywhere from Court Street on down to Atlantic, they would not stop for people with disabilities. They're parking outside of the bike lane. So how somebody with a disability is going to be able to get off the curb to get in the bus before the bus decides that they want to leave us all the time because we can't get down off them curbs. It's unfair. And I ask y'all to come out and see how these buses are not pulling up to the curb. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Andy Pollock, followed by Alita Dupree.
Thank you, Kate. Good morning, members of the New York City Transit Committee. My name is Andy Pollock, and I'm a member of Passengers United. I am here to talk about the Queens Bus Network redesign. The MTA board is set to vote on it fully this upcoming Wednesday, January 19th. And I'm going to leave with two more concerns for Northeast Queens. First up, on the Q31. Passengers United has received numerous complaints from Bayside High School students along with Bayside High School faculty. This is including teachers, by the way. They are deeply concerned that the new Q31 proposed route, which is strictly going to go along Bell Boulevard up to the Bay Terrace Shopping Plaza, will no longer be serving Bayside High School. This is a major inconvenience for the students and faculty who who absolutely need to use this bus to either get their education or teach their students. Under no circumstances should this be allowed under this final referendum. And lastly, I want to talk about my neighborhood, Fresh Meadows. As many in the MTA board knows, I'm a resident of Fresh Meadows who lives west of 188th Street. And under no circumstances can the bus stops along Horace Harney Expressway be eliminated, specifically eastbound where the Q17, Q30, and Q88 are. There are a lot of small businesses that are going to be hurt by this bus network redesign, including Bagel Oasis, which is a 24-hour bagel shop. And I also want to mention on the westbound side of Horace Harney Expressway, there are St. John students who rent out rooms in the hotels. So you're going to make it inconvenient for them just to access their hotel rooms. So please reconsider this, reconsider my changes. And also, again, the Q76, like I said last month, it needs to stay on 20th Avenue. So with that, I'm going to conclude my remarks. Again, please rethink this Queens Bus Network redesign. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm Andy Pollock from Passengers United.
Our next speaker is Alita Dupree, followed by Charlton D'Souza.
Thank you. Good morning to the chair. Alita Dupree, for the record, she and her with Team Folds to talk about the subway today. I know it's very cold in New York, and I hope to get to New York soon. I keep saying it, and I should be adventurous and come and enjoy the cold in New York and see family. How do we build the best subway that we can? I need my clock here. I'm not seeing it on the thing here. It's going to take a lot of work, and thank you for the congestion pricing. I'm really excited about the work that we're going to be doing, such as with the CBTC improvements and buying new rail cars. And I did see the video with the announcement of the electric bus order, putting in charging. And there's lots of important things that we're going to do. And especially the Second Avenue subway extension, which I support fully. I have seen that neighborhood, and it needs it. So we want to make sure that we get all of our funding and contracts in place so we can get started with the heavy work. And I mentioned about the importance of a renewable energy powered subway, that we can buy renewable energy in our own name and trade it and schedule it, because we're experts in this area. But really, most of all, I mean, even when I am not in New York, I share about the subway often. It is the system that is legendary and stately, steeped in tradition and mindful of history, and always staying relevant to the future. I ask of you to continue your focus in building the best subway that we can have, so it will always be around for me to enjoy. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Charlton D'Souza, followed by Christopher Greif.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlton D'Souza. I'm the president and founder of Passengers United. I live in Queens Village, and many of our Queens residents will be devastated and impacted by the Queens bus redesign. So here's what I want the MTA board to do today. I'm hoping that you guys would delay the vote on this plan till the effects of congestion pricing can be looked at for the borough of Queens. And also, here are some facts. So for people, like many of the residents at Belmont Park who now have to take the Q82 bus, then transfer to the Q110 bus, then go to the E train, that is going to devastate our neighborhood, because now you're asking people to pay two fares because your transfer policies, and this is a fact, the transfer policies have not been put in the Queens bus redesign plan. Another fact is bus stops are being eliminated. And like my colleague Jack Narenberg said, what happens to all the seniors who now have a longer trip and people with limited mobility? That is going to devastate them, especially in the wintertime. We're not looking at these things. And another thing is that's going to affect people is that if you're calling this a Queens bus redesign, why are so many bus stops being eliminated? And how come we don't have a bus route from Far Rockaway to Bayside? That is what the community wanted. All the elected officials in Queens wanted the Q79 extended. And so many of the board members, I feel, are being misled. today by what's in the staff summary, because the way the MTA responded to comments in the staff summary is not sufficient enough. So I think give it 2 months. Why don't y'all just meet with us and then let's vote on this? That would be more fair than to just rush this vote today and devastate, because you're devastating neighborhoods like Bayside, Queens Village, Far Rockaway. These are going to be even worse transit deserts under this plan now. Even College Point, Long
Please
Island
conclude
City,
your
so
remarks.
many other neighborhoods. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Christopher Gray, followed by Jason Anthony.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christopher D. Grive. As an advocate for people with disability, as I'm good today, let me just say my confidence of moving forward for accessibility, especially the capital project, which will be the next door room, which I'll be also saying the same thing. But, working on getting more accessibility we need. But also, the one thing we need to be very clear, accessibility is not just MTA. We need to remind our Department of Transportation, which is New York City DOT, which we know we have an accessibility DOT there. We need to communicate with them and let them know that each stop, why we need those stops. Not all stops are safe. Not all areas may be, the curb cuts are not fixed properly, but MTA does not control that. That's DOT. So we need to make sure we work on that, especially continue working on the future of 2025 for not just elevators and ramps, but updating our technology. As we're getting new buses, also making sure that the signages on the buses are fully up to date, the screens are up to say what stops are there, and very important to move forward of accessibility this year. As you know, July is the ADA 35. We need to make clear that things we got accomplished and things we still have to work on. To work together, we must work together and not all this fighting and not these criticizing, which we don't have all the facts and information. We have to move forward on with not just MTA, but reminding our elected officials from city and state and federal, reminding them that the future accessibility rides with us. And riding with all of us, we need to move forward with accessibility as well. So this is what I have to say. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker will be Jason Anthony, followed by David Feliciano.
Sorry about that, folks. And good morning. Jason Anthony, the transit guru, has born this very year, 2025. In other words, has reborn. Let's start this 2025 giving some facts. The New York City Transit has ended 2024 in high notes, opening more ADA accessible stations than ever before. If you don't believe it, see it for yourself. If you don't believe that there's more NYPD officers in every train station, trains, see it to believe it. If you don't believe that there are subway cameras even on the R46s, you have to see it for yourself. And I'm standing right here telling those from the media to ride the subway system on overnights, especially on those subway lines that go underground only, that they could see what I see when I go to work on the weekends. And stop with the lip service, and we won't see action, because this is not the old MTA, this is the new MTA.
Thank you. Please conclude your remarks.
Thank you, Kate.
Our next speaker will be David Feliciano, and our final speaker will be Brian Frisch.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I see all your faces. I don't know what's up with you. Hey, listen. Well, since you guys just left the switch with this congestion pricing, so I'm not seeing this, what's going on between the subway or buses. So it's been a lock of the year for everyone, but now in this new decade right now, I feel like I don't even own a car. I don't even drive. As you may not know, like all these years, it's been, hella lacking, getting and saying new trains, new car. But I don't agree what is going on in my own world because there's a lot of things going on. And a lot of situation, crisis going on in this world. First of all, we have our Queens hometown, Donald Trump's back to White House. We have everyone there, and then you have this Democrat governor in there saying, oh yeah, it does make no sense we have 2 police officers are sitting down. It don't make sense that a new train are been cleaned. But what happens doesn't surprise me the last 2 and 3.5 years. What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. We have a whole bunch of, inmates, ex-cons are out of jail. They're right. And this is happening everything. Every day there's always assault. Every day there's transportation workers are getting assaulted. Every day that poor neighborhoods are being attacked by African American and Hispanic neighborhoods are attacked. You know what's going on? School kids don't know how to respect public transportation. That includes my thing. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you. Our final speaker will be Brian Fritsch.
Good morning. I'm Brian Fritsch, Associate Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA PCAC. I'd like to start by applauding the tremendous amount of work and outreach that has gone into the Queens Bus Network redesign, which has been 5 years in the making. We appreciate that you listened to the gamut of stakeholders and incorporated many of the improvements that will significantly improve people's quality of life. Some people don't want to see any changes, but as the borough has changed and grown, it's critical that the bus system evolves to make buses faster, safer, more reliable, and more frequent. We are hopeful that you will continue to adapt and expand service as field testing turns into actual experience. To support this work, we're also very happy to see the automated camera enforcement for blocking the box included in the governor's executive budget last week and are urging the legislature to support it. We hope they will go a step further and support PCAC's Rider First Fare agenda, which would introduce a weekly city ticket that includes transfers to New York City Transit, subways, and buses. With the transformative changes we're making to the bus system, we hope that new fare discounts and offerings will incentivize riders who wish to switch between modes without incurring additional costs. We were also pleased the governor continued to demonstrate her commitment to riders and public safety underground in her State of the State address. Funding uniformed officers on every overnight train will help resolve issues immediately and ensure riders feel as safe as the stats show they are. The officers complement the other safety features slated for implementation: LED lights in every station, cameras in every train car, platform barriers at 100 additional stations by the end of the year, and the installation of hot-proof fare gates to curb fare evasion. To truly support transit, however, we know the 25 to 29 capital plan must be fully funded, and we're pounding the pavement with our partners in advocacy to ensure this happens. We know the future of the MTA system hinges on what happens over the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, this concludes the public comment period.
Thank you to all our speakers. We now move on. I'll now make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 2024 meeting. Second, JR. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Abstentions? Motion passed. Thank you. Frank is here with us. Good morning, Frank. Because Demetrius is on a well-earned and planned vacation. So, Frank, you want to take us through any changes to the work plan, please?
Yes, thank you. New York City Transit included a proposed 2025 work plan in this month's materials for board approval. Starting this year, the Transit Adjudication Bureau report will no longer be a transit work plan item and will instead be reported during the Finance Committee. Also, the work plan approval will be moved to December instead of January the following year. Next, the transit has a Queens Bus redesign staff summary. The purpose of this staff summary is to obtain board approval to implement the Queens Bus network redesign described in the December 2024 Queens Bus Network Redesign Proposed Final Plan Addendum for local and express bus service. The redesigned bus network will better serve ridership demand while improving riders' commutes with faster, more frequent, and more direct service. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. I'll now make a motion to approve the 2025 work plan. Second, please, JR. All those in favor? Okay, abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Frank, you want to start us off with the president's report? I know Demetrius is not here, but I think he's joining us via video.
Yes, we're actually going to start a video. Demetrius could not be here, but he recorded some the president's report for us. So.
Great. Thank you. Okay, cue the video.
Good morning. Happily, we embark on a new year, 2025. I'm sorry I can't be there with you in person, but I'm excited to share some of the big things we hope to achieve at New York City Transit in the year to come. Since I stepped into the role in June, I've made it clear that the team is focused on two core missions, safety and service. Safety is paramount. There's no greater priority to me and to all of you than to ensure that our customers and our employees are safe. I will not rest until we have taken every possible action to further improve the safety of our system. You're going to hear more about our progress and our plans to make transit safer for everyone. When I say we move New York City, I mean it. Without the subway, bus, and paratransit services, New York would not be possible. And that is an incredible responsibility. We have an incredible team of nearly 50,000 employees at Transit. We need to improve upon providing these teams with tools to get the job done. Everything from training to schedules, all of that needs to drive to better performance. This all comes together in Transit's 2025 goals. Here are the 4 things we'll do to improve safety and service in the year ahead. We will modernize service delivery. We will support and protect our employees. We will increase fare compliance, and we will improve upon customer service for the nearly 6 million daily riders we serve. Advancing these goals will improve our system in ways that both our customers and employees will benefit from. Let's start with how we'll modernize service delivery. I'm an operations guy at heart. Anything we're doing to make our service run more reliably or effectively is something that gets me excited. In 2025, we'll advance 3 core priorities that will improve upon how we deliver service. First, we'll leverage data to enhance performance analysis. Take an example of CBTC, how much data we get from that system. Now imagine being able to utilize it as we turn on more and more lines, and we're using that data to improve upon our performance. It also includes things like fully realizing our paratransit scheduling engine, which will unlock huge benefits to efficiency and service quality. We'll evaluate and implement industry best practices because a good idea is a good idea no matter its origins. If there's a better switch out there for our subway, a better LED light for our buses, or any other tools that our employees are using, if we can use them to provide better service, why aren't we doing it? Finally, we'll look to address even the smallest critical factors that can unlock noticeable improvements in service. Everything from more dynamic schedules to smart tactics like targeting areas that we look to improve upon in service can lead to better, faster, and more efficient service. None of these goals are possible without the collective efforts of our entire transit workforce. To that end, it's critical that we both do more to support our employees on the job and do everything possible to keep them safe and secure. I've directed the Office of System Safety to target the incidents of most concern and to create a strategic plan to improve. Our goal is simple, but it's critical: to reduce incidents of workplace violence and to keep our teams safe on the job. We'll look for more operational improvements to safety. And our subway system will continue to smartly expand our camera network where possible, building upon our on-time installation of cameras in all 6,000 subway cars that we did last year. On buses, we'll advance safety initiatives by bringing fully protective cabs to at least 30 more buses in an expanded pilot and by installing security monitors on over 100 additional vehicles. And we will continue to do creative projects like our I Move New York campaign, which celebrated numerous amazing transit workers from buses and subways. This campaign reminded our riders that their journey is only possible because of our employees, and they deserve the respect that they're entitled. To prepare transit for the next generation, we will develop succession planning and training for our future leaders. This is personal to me. As a 27-year MTA veteran, I know what it's like to start off in the field and have opportunities to gain more skills and responsibilities over the course of a career. Initiatives like the Career Pathways process that I initiated in subways will build our bench of future leaders. By taking folks with an administrative background and giving them the skills necessary to be successful in operating roles, we're training the leaders of tomorrow. Historically, these opportunities have been limited by job requirements and narrow pathways of advancement. Initiatives like this will change that. At the same time, we want to take every opportunity to recognize employee excellence. As leaders, we need to applaud folks who go above and beyond every day. This needs to be the culture here at Transit. This year, we'll revamp our biannual President's Award to be more aligned to our priorities and our values. We missed the mark here. Let me give you an example. We had a situation where we were recognizing a manager in the Operations Control Center. Valiant effort. He did everything to coach employees, to give them the tools necessary to do their job. But what we failed to acknowledge is the fact that he had gone 30 years without taking a sick day. There are so many employees who share that story. Those in our organization who give up their time, their energy, and their health. They make sacrifices to serve this city. It's time that we recognize those services, recognize those sacrifices. At the same time, departments will build on existing engagement initiatives like the Bus Rodeo and Subway's Family Day to give employees opportunities for celebration and fellowship. In 2025, I plan to get out in the system as much as possible to thank employees directly and to spend time in their workspaces. That's why we moved our President's Breakfast out of 2 Broadway and into the facilities where employees work. Look, coming to 2 Broadways can be like coming to the principal's office. Even when you're trying to celebrate and show gratitude to the teams, they kind of dread it. By going out in the field, we meet employees where they're at, see their workspaces firsthand, and hear how we can best set them up for success on the job. It's no secret that fare evasion is a top priority at the MTA these days. Here at New York City Transit, we've taken the challenge of fare evasion head on. I've said countless times, it's not acceptable for someone who would never shoplift, who goes there and pays their barber, comes to the city, enjoys a play, but they will not pay their fare on a bus or subway. It's not acceptable. We gotta change this. We rely on our fare revenues to improve service and literally keep the lights on. It's a huge challenge, but I believe our efforts have already made a difference, and there's more to come. You already know what we're doing with the gate guards and the Eagle team. Well, we're going to continue to tweak that operation to make sure that we get the most efficient use of our resources. And we'll make real progress on new technology, especially on our fare gates. The governor's charged us to install new modern gates at 20 stations this year, and frankly, we're up to the challenge. Hardening the system only goes but so far. In 2025, we'll also drive forward on fare compliance by making major progress on Omni. We're approaching the finish line with Omni, making it easier for customers to pay, especially for programs like Fair Fares. It makes a difference. Now that the city has further expanded the eligibility of the program, we'll keep working to make sure every New Yorker who qualifies for half-price rides is aware of the benefits. The initial data from the end of 2024 shows that for the first time in years, we have meaningfully reduced fare evasion on buses and subways. There's more work to do, but I'm encouraged. To me, it's all about giving each mode the opportunity to unleash the special sauce that connects our operations to our customers. This is especially true during planned and unplanned disruptions. The way we've approached supporting customers during the G-Train shutdown by appointing Hugo Zamora as the project lead, we also followed during the Rockaway shutdown. In 2025, we'll double down on the new station agent role outside of the booth, which will be more critical than ever as we continue to welcome millions of riders to Omni. We'll also lean heavily on our customer service centers to connect new customers to permanent reduced fare Omni cards and to support customers during the transition. We'll seek to build on historic improvements that we've made in 2024 to paratransit customer service, from a new Manhattan assessment center to record call center performance and surging app bookings. In 2025, we'll further efforts to connect our customers to high-quality service and ensure that they're receiving the communication that they need. And on our buses, we'll work towards more customer-friendly service and comms. We'll look to cut down on a number of ghost buses, make sure customers have certainty about headways and delays. We've also been focused this month on supporting the historic commencement of congestion relief in our city. This will clean our air, reduce traffic in our streets, and critically, fund $15 billion in improvements to the transit system. The entire leadership team at Transit was out in the field on the first days, making sure that the service was moving smoothly for our riders. For those of you who switched to mass transit in recent weeks, welcome. We appreciate you riding with us and hope you've had safe and excellent service on our system. I'm encouraged that early signs indicate that we've seen increased ridership and, critically, faster buses in and around the Central Business District in Manhattan. Next, we'll hear from our departmental leaders on their December metrics and their departmental goals for 2025. First up, it's on you, Frank.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well done.
We'll tell Demetrius we really enjoyed his video. All right, Frank, tee us up. You're next.
Okay, let's go. Okay, in December, service delivered for bus was 95%, slightly below November, but 0.5% higher than December of the previous year. Customer journey time improved to 69.9%, which was 1.5% above November. Bus speeds remained steady at 7.9 miles per hour. Despite challenges, 2020 performance stayed consistent, with all key metrics aligning with the 12-month average. Preliminary data with the CBD tolling program shows that less traffic has improved the commutes of bus riders, especially in the AM peak. The routes showing the most time savings primarily are our express routes that cross the East or Hudson Rivers into Manhattan. For example, the Sim 24 saved 7 minutes driving through the Lincoln Tunnel compared to last year. We've also seen consistent trip time improvements on the East and West streets as well. The M50, sometimes noted as being the slowest bus route in Manhattan, has shaved 1.3 minutes off, or 5% its running time. Again, this is very preliminary data. We expect travel patterns will change in the upcoming weeks and months as people learn the program and make new choices. Finally, our fall customer count survey shows overall local, limited, and select bus customer satisfaction is 53%. This is down from the 57% in the spring of '24. Overall, express bus customer satisfaction increased 2 points to 69%. Customer satisfaction with their bus route remains higher than overall bus satisfaction, with 64% satisfied with their route, down 3 points from the spring. In both the monthly pulse and the biannual customers count study, wait times consistently show up as the top driver of satisfaction and main item that needs to improve. Another important part of this equation is whether customers know when exactly the buses are coming. So we're working on multiple things. To influence the metrics include traffic congestion, driver availability, service management, and improved bus arrival times. These are all critical customer service issues that will be primary focus of our 2025 goals. In 2025, Bus's aim is to modernize service delivery by renewing the bus command center concept of operations to be more service-driven and enhancing our customer-focused service analytics to improve the customer experience across the route. While we are good at service delivery and incident response, we recognize that we need to do a better job focusing on our customer experience through the entirety of the bus trip. Our renewed look at service management is about just that, targeting the pain points for our customers, whether it be gaps in service, headways along the route, and more accurate information. Our network redesign in Queens, the largest redesign of its kind in the country, is also intended to improve the commutes of over 800,000 daily customers. This month, we are seeking the board approval to implement the Queens Bus Network redesign this summer and release the final plan, Brooklyn plan, later this year. Fleet transformation continues as we expected with over 200 buses this year, including with 45 additional electric buses. Continue our zero emissions infrastructure build-out across our depots and the delivery of 2 hydrogen-powered pilot buses. Employee safety is a priority with plans to expand enclosed bus operator compartments and pilot collision avoidance and advanced pedestrian alert systems on 6 buses. To enhance fare compliance, our goal is that all buses will have operational fare equipment and rear doors will remain closed at stops unless onboarding customers. A pilot of 100 buses will feature live camera feeds on digital information screens to boost onboard security. Customer experience improvements include expanding automated camera enforcement and piloting bike lane enforcement with our partners at DOT. Rockaway A-Line shuttle service has been smooth thus far, supporting critical subway infrastructure repairs, and we will continue this high level of service throughout the 17-week duration of this project. We remain committed to enhancing service management and delivering world-class service to our customers who deserve it. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to Bill Amorosa for Subways.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Since this is my first time at the table, I should introduce myself. My name is Bill Amorosa. Demetrius has asked me to serve as the next acting SVP in the rotation. So I've been on the job for a few weeks and excited to be here this morning. I've been with the MTA full-time for 17 years now. In addition to that, I had 3 years as a high school and college intern before going off to the private sector. I have been fascinated by the subway since high school and passionate about it. So this is literally a dream job for me, and I'm excited to be here. Okay. December on-time performance improved year over year. We were just over 80%, and I'm very proud that Subways is consistently delivering performance above 80%. You may recall prior to the pandemic, we had reached 80% for the first time in recent memory, and we've continued that improving trend over time. That's something we're going to be really focused on moving into 2025. Weekend on-time performance was also very strong, just below 84%. This shows the efforts of Jose LaSalle, Hugo Zamora, and our weekend service team. Customer journey time performance was just under 85%, showing that our service strategies are not just meeting the OTP goals, but also making sure that we're getting our customers moving in the time that they expect. Just as Frank did, I'd like to talk about customer satisfaction for a moment. Our overall scores were up slightly in the fall survey compared to the spring, but we're still down compared to 2023 levels, so that's numbers we're monitoring very carefully and want to see improve this year. As the safety and security concerns have improved, and they're not where we want them to be, but they're improving, we're seeing customers tell us that reliability continues to be their most important attribute. So as we move on to the next slide for 2025 goals, you'll see that this will be our priority for the year. Our 2025 goals for Subways meet Demetrius's core mission of safety and service. We have 4 pillars. The first and most important, as always, is safety. I'm very proud that in 2024, Subways reduced injuries on duty by 8.7% and lost time accidents by almost 15%, but that's not good enough. We want to improve that by another 10% this year with a special focus on reducing employee assaults. We're also improving the cab door locks on at least 2 of our fleets to better protect our employees and our cars. And of course, there's a lot more behind this, but this is a few highlights that I'd like to share with you. The second pillar is operational performance. We are targeting on-time performance of 84% on weekdays and 85% on weekends. This is a tough goal. This is a couple points higher than what we've achieved, but we have a lot of data-driven strategies in flight. We're seeing very promising results from what we've implemented so far, and we believe that we can achieve this for the year, and we'll stay focused on the customer journey time performance as well. The third pillar is customer service. Our stations and facilities teams have done an excellent job with the Revive program, improving the station environment, as well as deep cleaning our stations and getting to some areas we historically haven't been able to get to. So we're going to continue those efforts through our mobile wash and hit teams. And then finally, we need to do all this while maintaining fiscal responsibility. So I've challenged the team to operate within their budgets and control overtime and continue the focus on improving employee availability. So that's the Subways report.
Great, thank you, and welcome. Who do we have next, Frank?
Next up, we have Rachel, who will be speaking for Paratransit. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. 2024 was a record-breaking year for paratransit as we saw historically high performance from our transportation providers and our call center alike, alongside significant sustained ridership growth. So I'll be touching a little bit on December KPIs as well as a little bit of the year in review, and really want to frame all of this as a true testament to the work of the entire paratransit team to continue delivering this excellent level of service. In 2024, Access-a-Ride provided 9.2 million trips and served more than 13 million riders, both record numbers for our service. When we look at our customers' count survey data, it tells us part of the reason why. We continue to see more than 2/3 of our customers telling us that they're satisfied or very satisfied with the overall level of service, and on attributes like call center service, ability to get a ride at the requested time, and personal security, we're at 80% or greater customer satisfaction. Turning back for a moment to our December KPIs, on-time performance remained relatively steady for the month of December. Our primary carriers completed 93% of pickups in the 30-minute window, and we continue working with those vendors to drive toward that 20-minute goal. On the broker side, we completed 94% of trips in the 20-minute window, which is a 4% increase compared to the same month in 2023. Overall, for the year, we finished with a 30-minute on-time performance of 96.5% and an overall 20-minute on-time performance of 92%, both market improvements from 2023. I want to thank our contract management and our broker units for their skill and dedication in continuing to drive us forward toward these performance goals. Call center performance also remained consistently strong throughout 2024, well exceeding our goal of 95% of calls answered, with an average speed to answer well below our goal of 60 seconds. By leveraging more efficient tools for customer booking built by our very own in-house project management and technology team, and empowering our call center agents with specialized training to address same-day service issues, we've been able to continue to meet and exceed performance goals with rising call volume. Our customer relations team, our call center vendor GCS, and our command center work tirelessly every day to deliver these results, and I want to thank them again for their work throughout the year. Whether it's our eligibility and compliance team opening the new assessment center here in Manhattan, our standards and compliance group putting our first electric vehicles into service last year, or our finance, administration, internal controls, and fraud detection teams measuring our success in new ways and keeping our facilities running every day, every group and every individual continues to push us toward these historic heights. We're proud of the work we've done in 2024 and excited for what's to come in the next year. So turning to our 2025 goals, we'll be focused on continuing to build on our record performance when it comes to service reliability, keeping those no-shows exceedingly low, and continuing to improve on-time performance. Beyond maintaining that level of service reliability in particular, some of our key goals for 2025 include, as the other modal chiefs have mentioned, a laser focus on safe service. We know that our customers care most about reliability and safety, and we're committed to ensuring customers feel safe and secure on every single paratransit trip they take. We'll be focused on our broker drivers, who are a large and dispersed network that we have to stay consistently engaged with. Our initial training is very strong, and this year we'll be providing more resources and engagement that go beyond that initial training, with a focus on customer communication and best practices for customer assistance. We'll also issue an RFP this year and begin the process to procure cameras for our dedicated carrier fleet of vehicles, which will also help with retraining and addressing any of those rare but real instances that do happen on the day of service. Again, consistent with the goals across New York City Transit, we are also focused on ways to modernize our service delivery. This year, we'll select a vendor to implement our new paratransit technology system, which will really bring us into the 21st century when it comes to how we schedule, route, track, and manage our trips. This will help us operate more efficiently, and it will have a huge positive impact for our customers, as we're able to share rides more efficiently and adjust dynamically when issues do come up on the day of service. Implementing the system will be a huge push for every aspect of our operation, and we're eager to get to work. 2025 will also be the year that we distribute Omni cards to all Access-Ride customers. We ran a very successful pilot in 2024. We learned a lot, and we're excited to start getting those cards out in the coming months. Finally, with our growing ridership and the agency's overall cost-saving commitments, finding ways to deliver service more efficiently is more important than ever before. That's why we're continuing to use all the tools in our toolbox to encourage app adoption, not just for booking trips, but tracking trips and giving feedback as well. We're looking to push above that 20% adoption goal and continue getting customers using the app. And when they do call us, and our call center will always be here for our customers, we're looking at ways to make those calls more efficient. Reducing talk time, again, is good for the customer and it's good for our operation, and we see a lot of opportunity to continue pushing forward there. From end to end, from the eligibility and assessment process to reservations to the day of service, we're focused on giving our customers and our employees better tools to navigate our processes quickly and easily. We're excited to deliver on these and many other goals in 2025 and to continue to hear from our customers how we can continue to improve service. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Frank?
All right, thank you, Rachel. Now we're going to turn it over to Chris P. from Operations Planning.
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, everybody. Go to the next slide, please. Thank you. There we go. All right, thank you very much. And excuse my voice, I lost it over the weekend, apparently. So ridership review here for December. On the subway, we had 3.847 million, which was up nearly 5% over the previous year. And bus, we were at 1.3 million, up 7.3%, which is great to see a lot more paid ridership on bus. That growth is wonderful to see. And looking, since it was the end of the year, we also looked at the fall 2024 versus fall 2023 ridership. And on subway, we were averaging over 4 million per average weekday for the first time since the pandemic, up 5% from the previous fall 2023. And on bus, nearly 1.5 million, also up plus 7% on paid ridership. Again, showing that growth, which is wonderful to see. On weekends, I didn't get the exact numbers in here, but the numbers are, the percentages were great, up 11% on the weekends on the subway and up 12% on bus, showing that people are starting to take a lot more discretionary trips as well as folks who work on the weekend are placing their trust in us to take them where they need to go on the weekends. In 2024, we saw a lot of great growth on Fridays. Friday night showing 10% growth, which is over twice the growth percentage than the rest of the average weekday. Midday Fridays, we also saw an 8% growth. And one of the biggest origin destination pairs that we saw was Midtown and Queens, an increase of about 12% between those two areas. Again, looking at the Friday subway growth as well as the weekend bus and subway growth, again shows that we are growing our ridership, growing our paid ridership, and people are placing their trust and voting with their feet when they take our modes to get where they need to go, not just for work, but also for non-work trips as well. I'm also here to talk about the Queens Bus Network redesign, which is on the staff summary. So go to the next slide. Before I begin on this, I do want to introduce two of my wonderful staff here sitting in the back over there. Rick Hajduk, if you want to raise your hand. Rick is our project manager for the Queens Bus Network redesign and has stepped into this role to lead us to where we are today to bring this here to the board, as well as Blanca Morales. Blanca is our senior bus scheduling manager for the bus network redesign. And between planning and scheduling, it is an understatement to say they've had some work the last few months in getting the Queens Bus Network redesigned to where it is today, and working with all of our partners here at MTA to get where it is, including, of course, the Department of Buses. Now, the Queens Bus Network redesign represents a generational opportunity here to redesign the bus network in a borough that is nearly the size of Chicago. But of course, being New York City, it is one of 5 boroughs. But Queens is not just one of 5 boroughs, of course. It has the highest bus ridership at 800,000 riders per day using the bus network in Queens. And we have not had the opportunity in many decades to redesign it, despite the growth that is happening in the borough and in the city in the new travel patterns. And here we are now with the new bus network that we are going to propose with 124 total routes, a growth from 113, new local routes and express routes, as well as new types of routes when routing changes, increased frequencies, increased spans of service, and more weekend service, recognizing that people's travel patterns have changed over the last many decades, especially over the last 5 years. And we need to be able to have a new bus network that serves people and connects them not only to other bus and other job locations, but also to the subway network, including ADA accessible subway stations to take advantage of the new elevators we're building, as well as Long Island Railroad. One of the great aspects of this network you see on the map is in eastern Queens, the pink-purple lines. These are our rush routes. These are a new type of route that we have not had before in the city. And these types of routes operate similarly to the way that express subway routes work, where you will have a local pickup for a few miles as it picks up along the route, and then runs express, if you will, where the stops are much more spaced out to a major destination like Jamaica, for example. This way we are able to bring folks who do live in places further out away from subway or Long Island Railroad service faster to the major job and activity centers, as well as to the major railroad connections, given that over 80% of jobs are within walking distance to the subway. So really proud of this network, and we're going to be putting this up for the board vote, of course, on a Wednesday and for consideration here on the staff summary. If you go to the next slide, please. One thing I definitely want to emphasize is the amount of work that has gone on to build this network. This, of course, was not done in a vacuum, but rather over nearly 6 years now of community engagement between MTA staff and the Queens community, bus riders, residents, elected officials, and many others. Over 250 events of different types where we go out and meet people where they are, as well as over 18,000 comments from people that we've considered and made multiple revisions to the plan since 2019, including an original draft plan, a new draft plan, which came out in 2022 after the pandemic. And of course, in 2024, we had the proposed final plan in December of a year ago, as well as the final plan addendum, which came out in December of this year, 2 months ago, including a public hearing in July. So this has been fantastic, and we really appreciate the work of the team, as well as the countless hours and effort that the Queens community put into this project. This truly is not just an MTA project, but really a Queens and MTA project together, and we're very proud of that. Assuming approval of the board on Wednesday, if that happens, the next steps will be the Rick and Blanca and all of our colleagues at MTA will be working very hard with the New York City Department of Transportation to begin the implementation process out in the field, which requires a massive change, of course, of bus stops. We'll be working directly with community and elected officials, with our government community relations liaisons to inform the public of the changes again, of what's coming up. Work, of course, internally with on our schedules and our plans, and get ready to launch on the end of June and the end of August in a 2-phase approach of implementation. So by Labor Day of this year, we will be fully implemented with the Queens Bus Network redesign. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I, of course, will lean on Rick and Blanca to help me out, but appreciate your consideration of the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Very exciting. Any questions for anyone? Andrew.
Hi, thanks, Chris, for that report. So if the committee approves the Queens Bus redesign and it's then finally approved on Wednesday by full board, can changes still be made to various routes if the committee sees that there's an overriding need to do that?
So the plan right now is as it is, as we presented in in December. We, of course, have an ongoing planning process at MTA where every pick process, we look at different areas that we need to make adjustments. Given the complexity of this network and how long and the intricacies of the interweaving between routes and schedules, we will not be doing any changes between now and implementation. However, like with the Staten Island and Bronx and in any of our planning, we will constantly evaluate and then see how things go. And it'd be great to be able to put this in as it is. And if there are any changes necessary, of course, me and Rick and Blanca and the team will be observing and be on the field this summer to make those changes. But happy to talk to you, of course. Thank you.
Any question? Dan?
Thank you. One more question for me on the Queens bus network. Actually, maybe two questions. One of them, I wanted to see if you could respond. One of the public commenters talked about a reduction in bus stops. And at the same time, we're seeing an increase in the number of local bus routes from 83 to 94. Can you just address that as a concern or an issue? Because it seems like more local bus routes would make it better and easier for more people to access the bus. But since that comment was made, I wanted to give you a chance to address it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. And Rick, I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, Rick, if you want to come up here and have a seat next to Rachel, and I'll answer the first question first, but I'll throw it to you also. So thank you for your question. So a lot of the stop changes are to help speed up the network, essentially. And we've done a lot of work with the community to make sure that the stops we are changing both reflect the needs of the community as well as address the needs of people with disabilities, seniors, or anywhere else that we need to put bus stops back. And so we've done a lot of that over the last several years, and especially in the last year in that process. Now, with the local routes and the way that they work as well with the rush routes, I mentioned the rush routes, which will have a lot more far stop spacing in certain parts. There will always be an underlying local route in that example, so that way stop spacing is always available for people who need more of a shorter walk, if you will, in those cases. Rick, if you wouldn't mind commenting on the question as well, that'd be great.
Sure. The goal of the elimination of stops or reducing or increasing stop spacing is to speed up the buses and make them more reliable. So the planners looked very directly at each location, each stop, to look at ridership levels, look at what's around the area, to evaluate spacing, and then also listen to public comments over the last, as Chris had mentioned, 5 years. So for every bus stop removed, we estimate that there's a 20-second increase in a 20-second decrease for reliability, or increase, sorry. But basically, eliminating stops helps speed up the buses and increase reliability.
Okay, thank you. And I suppose there will be a lot of public interest in knowing what borough would come next for a bus redesign. I don't know if that's something that has been considered. Is that already in there? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Any other questions? Okay, if not, we move to Assistant Chief Jerry O'Sullivan, who will give us our public safety report. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you. Good morning to the board and attendees and the viewers. Again, my name is Jerry O'Sullivan. I'm a chief assigned as the executive officer of the Transit Bureau. To review the crime figures of 2004 that you may have in front of you. Last year, we'll start off with December, there were 185 major crimes in the subway system, which was a 7.5% decrease compared to December of the previous year. That drop was mainly due to fewer grand larcenies in the subway system. For the whole of 2024, there were 2,211 crimes in the system. That was a 5.4% decrease from 2023. The reduction also due to fewer robberies and grand larcenies. A 5.4% crime reduction means 126 fewer victims in our system, which is a bigger decrease than we had in 2023. The progress is thanks to the hard work of our officers that are deployed in this system, and they're dealing with a variety of issues such as quality of life and addressing crimes that are occurring down there. That is in addition to, as I just heard, the increase of ridership in the system. We still see that trend continuing to go down, the crime trend go down. In 2024, the arrests and summonses increased significantly, with the 67% rise in arrests and 19% rise in summonses. The NYPD is committed to addressing quality of life and crime reduction in our subway system. We also maintained a strong stance on fare evasion enforcement, as I've heard complaints of from the public during this meeting. In 2024, it was addressed nearly 24,000 more enforcement contacts related to fare evasion, which affects the riders' sense of safety and fairness of the subway system. And the NYPD will continue to be committed to addressing quality of life and crime reduction in this year, 2025. That concludes my brief remarks for you this morning.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Andrew?
So many people have spoken about the overnight 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. police on every train. Have they been instructed to walk between the cars and inspect the entire train? And on those car types that have locked end doors, will they go out on the platform at a station and re-enter the train so that they can actually see the whole train?
Well, to begin, the plan is we're committed to getting that plan up and running and moving forward. The department has been committed to moving resources to address this plan. And with that said, the instructions that the officers have been giving is just as you would have mentioned. They plan on going from car to car, progressing as the train continues. The way they would do that is they're supposed to step out of the train. They'll have visual contact with the conductor as they advance to the next train, and that's the plan. That the officers will be on the train and looking at the conditions on that train as it moves forward.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions to the Chief? If not, thank you, Chief.
This is Mira. Sorry, I'm homesick, so I have a crackly voice. But I saw some good news. It looks like there's a slight decrease in fare evasion on buses, and I was wondering if there was any insights you could provide on that.
Sure. Hi, Mira. Sorry you're not feeling well. So yes, we're seeing encouraging on both subways and bus. Right now, preliminary, we're seeing a double-digit improvement on both, and we continue to expand the locations and the different standard operating procedures of our fare enforcement team, or our Eagle team, fare enforcement team, and now we're actually covering local and integrating, again, SBS bus. So more to follow on the next coming weeks and months, but yeah, it's very encouraging what we're seeing.
Are you good with that, Mira? You want to do a follow-up or no?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Great. Feel better. Any other questions? If not, we move on to Q.
Thank you and good morning. Over the last few weeks, we've been very excited and busy here at the MTA. Most of you might have seen the completion of 2 newly accessible stations made step-free, Westchester Square, East Tremont on the 6th in the East Bronx, and Woodhaven Boulevard on the JZ in Queens. Westchester Square is a great example of a station that unlocks many new trips for our customers. 7 different bus routes run under that station, which creates many new possibilities for thousands of customers who need elevators to use the subway, but also connect to buses between their trips. Woodhaven Boulevard on the J and the Z is our first station to be completed with direct-to-platform elevators, bypassing existing mezzanines or circuitous routes to get to the platforms. This allows our customers to have a quicker and more reliable trip by taking only 1 elevator directly towards the train. This station design also allows us to build fewer elevators and complete projects faster and cheaper while creating a better customer experience. This embodies the new principles that our construction and design teams have been driving towards: cheaper, faster, better. and we look forward to continue collaborations with them on more projects to come. On this 2025-2029 capital plan outreach, we've continued to solicit feedback from our customers and stakeholders on stations to prioritize for accessibility in the proposed plan. While we announced the first 30 of the more than 60 stations to be made accessible in our proposed plan, there are 30 stations yet to be named. Today, we are launching the MTA's very first ever online survey to solicit feedback directly from customers on what stations they wish us to prioritize for accessibility in the next plan. We've been working together with advocacy groups, elected officials, and the general public to inform them of this launch and to really try to get, drum up some feedback that will be coming through that means. This informs a design principle to be made simple, straightforward, and accessible to all customers so that anyone can access us and offer their opinions, their interests, their likes. And it will be linked directly from our MTA accessibility webpage or at mta.info/stations-selects-stations. So if you're looking out for the link, go onto our webpage today, go onto the accessibility site, and you will see this first ever solicitation, information solicitation on our website. This feedback will help us feed into our legislative mandated criteria for selecting stations. Those criteria include geographic coverage, community destinations, ridership, demographics, transfers, and lastly, constructability and cost. I look forward to reporting back to this committee on the feedback we receive and the stations we ultimately select. My team and I are very proud to be delivering this with the customer unit, thank you, Shanifa, to really help boost our engagement with the public, not only those who come here to these meetings, every committee, every board meeting, but also folks who are not able to do that. We want to give them an opportunity to voice their thoughts, voice their opinions, and engage with my team and all of us here at the MTA. Thank you.
Q, that's very important, the last statement that you made. I'm happy you guys are doing that. That's great. Great news. Any questions for Q? If not, we move on. We have no procurements, right, Frank?
No procurements this month.
No low. Okay. So if not, I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, second. All those in favor? Thank you. See you all on Wednesday.